like, he's like, got Brandon doing this weird thing.
Oh, Sam, bless your soul, Sam.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to the Work for Change podcast. It's your boy Jean, spelled like Jean.
And your boy John with the silent H.
And
And Sam is here joining you guys.
yes, she is.
Why are you talking in the third person? Yeah, it's the third person, right? It's not first person.
No,
You guys
first person
talk
would
in a
be-
third person.
No, it's like, hey, this is Jean, that is John David, and then you went, and Sam is here.
Whatever. I'm here too.
Welcome to episode number 80 of the Work for Change podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're
This
welcome.
is going to be a good episode. We always say that, so
Yeah.
I had to say it again.
I was going to go on and I was going to say, you have joined a bad episode.
Yeah.
If you're listening now and you value your time, please stop
Please
listening.
leave. You'll be better for it, for sure.
We are recording on Monday.
Memorial Day.
Yep. This podcast goes out on Tuesday.
Yep.
The day after Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm.
They call it Forgettable Day. I'm just kidding.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Memory and then
Yeah.
forget the day after. You
too
get it?
soon.
Okay. And just want to say thank you. Thank you for listening and that we are, so far ahead of our planning that we are doing it on the day before.
Yeah,
This is a pretty big episode.
Yeah,
We have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we do. We do have a lot to talk about, which we'll get into. But at first, I think we should talk about Murph and how that went. Obviously, with COVID-19 going on, all of us have not really been able to work out as much, and I think it's crazy. Like thinking when we were first the gyms were first closed down, I had no thought in my mind that they'll be closed all the way up until Murph and past it. But obviously, that's what happened. And so today, obviously, we did Murph. We all did kind of different versions.
Mm-hmm.
None of us did it tech, quote unquote, RX with the weight vest and unpartitioned and all that stuff.
I think I already know you guys' opinion on this, but let me ask you guys a question.
But
If you scale Murph, can you still say you did Murph?
yes. I was reading a comment thread today about it.
Yeah, I was reading the same one from Make Wads Great Again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah, so I agree that you still did Murph, but I do understand where people are coming from. I think it's because with CrossFit, it's all about being inclusive and you know what I mean? It's like there's a scale for everything. But when it's a hero workout, I understand why people struggle with saying that it counts, right? Because it's like we're doing it in memorial of this guy and he is no longer here. And so you shouldn't be saying that you're doing the workout when you're technically not doing it. Mm-hmm. So I understand that, I understand where people are coming from with that. But I think for me, it's it's bigger than just that, in the fact that, especially this is obviously the most popular CrossFit workout ever. The only other one that's even close is Fran, and I'd say it's nowhere. It's still for us as CrossFitters, it's just as big.
Yeah.
But if you're not in CrossFit, you probably don't know what Fran is, but you know what Murph is because the Murph challenge and all that stuff.
Well, I feel like a lot of non-CrossFit people do Murph too.
Yeah,
and if they
yeah.
do it, they're doing it totally different than how a CrossFitter would.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, oh, I did Murph. And then if you're counting it as only straight through with a weight vest, then this is my 5th time doing Murph. Are you saying I've never done it before? Because I've never done it with a weight vest or all the way through. But I feel like I'm doing it for the reason that we do it and as a community type thing. So I say every year I've done Murph.
Yeah. And I mean, for the most part, I'd say that most people agree with you. And like I said, I agree with you, but I do understand where people are coming from, where they're saying you didn't do Murph.
Yeah, I think that it comes from people who do CrossFit. There's an expectation between people who do CrossFit that every workout is scalable and infinitely scalable, and you scale up, you can scale down. And so when everyone shows up and they said, "Did you do the workout on Monday?" and everyone goes, "Yeah, that sucked," even though one person did it thrusters at 75 pounds, someone else did thrusters at 135 pounds, whatever, the workout still sucked, and even though it was a different workout. And so you take that mindset of CrossFit of infinite scalability, and then you take it to an outside community that doesn't understand infinite scalability, because that is a very CrossFit idea, then I can see where people are like, you didn't do the workout. You did a different workout that looks like it, But it's like you're not coming from the perspective of CrossFit with infinite scalability. But I also do, I understand the idea of this isn't some workout your coach made up on a Sunday night, for the week. Like this workout does this. It's like saying, oh, did you eat Domino's pizza? Like, yeah, but I got it from Pizza Hut. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you had pizza, but like, so I understand. Once you put a name brand in quotes on something, then that's where the argument of like, well, did you really do that workout?
Yeah.
And I think kind of Murph is just to kind of like push your limits a little bit, knowing it's going to be hard. Mm-hmm. So whether your hard is putting a weight vest on and doing it all the way through, or maybe doing half Murph because that's the first time you've ever done that many reps in a workout.
It's interesting. It's kind of funny to me how people that do CrossFit call it Murph, but then the people that are outside of CrossFit call it the Murph or the Murph Challenge, which is fine. The more people that are doing it, the better. But you can tell when someone does CrossFit versus doesn't, almost always with how they explain the workout. And if they said, I did Murph or I did the Murph Challenge.
Yeah.
It was definitely weird doing it today because it's one of my favorite days at the CrossFit gym. Like you go, you have multiple heats going. It's so many people. Usually you hang out after, and it's like, oh.
Last year there was the heat that we went in. There was like 40 people that were doing it.
I didn't do it the same time, and Jean didn't do it last year.
Oh, well, the heat that I did it in last year, it was the biggest one, and I think there was literally like 40 people that were doing it.
But I think mine was pretty big too. But
I had food poisoning.
Why? What did you eat, John?
Not Chipotle. I went crazy and I was like, you know what? So I had some friends invited us for dinner and they wanted to get Chili's, and so I was like, I'm gonna do a chili cheeseburger.
It's like
he's never had a chili cheeseburger.
It's like that episode of The Office when Michael does the 5K and he's carbo loading before the 5K.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah. But then
with chili
night,
cheeseburgers.
Last night we had a nice steak and broccoli and you got your veggies in, so you're good to go.
So how did you guys do the workout?
Well, we partnered it. And so we both ran the mile together. And then we did 20 rounds with Cindy, but we did 10 rounds each. So you go, I go, you go, I go, and then we ran the mile together at the end.
Yeah. With Bailey.
With Bailey. She did such a good job.
Our dog that we just got that we talked about last week. Yeah, I mean it was like, again, I understand the idea of like making yourself uncomfortable and digging in deeper for the sacrifice that people have made for our country, which is kind of the point of Murph. But also like I was a big advocate on, hey, your gym's been closed for 3 months and you haven't really been doing high rep movements.
Well, especially pull-ups, man.
Yeah.
Like that's where a lot of people get rhabdo is specifically especially if you're doing butterfly pull-ups.
Yeah.
Just to say that we did it at our friend's house. Just another Jazz and Mike, our friends, and we did it because they have a rig in their backyard, so we were able to do the pull-ups.
Yeah, and so like on my social media and anyone I talk to, and on the CrossFit Dark Side, like our CrossFit Dark Side page, I was just very adamant, like, hey, scale this workout, everyone. Like even if you've done Murph RX 5 times in a row, like if you haven't been going as hard this year, like because of this quarantine. Scale this workout.
Was that a jab?
Don't have an ego coming into this workout. And so Sam and I were really just like, we partnered it up. We both did the mile run, and then we did 10 rounds of Cindy each, which is 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, and 15 air squats.
And my pull-ups felt good for not doing them for a while.
Yeah.
So I did full Murph, but I did no weight vest, and then I did strict. So I did it Cindy, so 5, 10, 15, like they just said. But I did like strict pull-ups, which I would say were 80% strict. Because like the first 12 rounds, I think they were solid. But then towards the end, it was like there was definitely a little bit of momentum used. But I mean, all I was trying to do was get my chin over the bar. So, but for the most part, they were strict. And again, I partitioned it. So this is my 4th time doing Murph. First time I did it, this is my first time ever partitioning it. But the first time I did it with no weight vest. And the last 2 times that I've done it, I did a weight vest and unpartitioned. And so it was definitely different going into it. it's so personally for me, it's so much less scary when you're not looking at 200 push-ups with the weight vest like in a row. Oh, but at the same time, doing it with strict pull-ups compared to a full kip, like using all the momentum I want, because I'm okay at pull-ups. I'm not great at kipping pull-ups, but like I can bust out a set of 10 pull-ups even with the weight vest, a couple to like maybe get up to my set of 30, get up to 30 reps, just doing kipping pull-ups. So it definitely like the pull-ups took a lot longer this year. I had to I had to rest a lot more, but it was interesting. Like the reason that I obviously didn't do it with a weight vest was because it recently injured my back. I feeling like I'm pretty much back to 100%, but I was talking to the guy that I'm working with, CJ, and he was like, yeah, you probably should like partition it, because he was like 300 air squats probably isn't the best idea for your back in a row.
Yeah.
And so he's like, you should definitely partition it. And my weight vest actually, it's so annoying. I have a 5'11" one, and there's like this cable that runs through it that for some reason on mine, I've never seen it happen to anyone else's weight vest, but it'll like come loose, and then that's like the cable that holds the weight vest together. And when that comes apart, the whole weight vest just doesn't work anymore. So the last time I used the weight vest, that happened, and the freaking cable came undone. So I couldn't even use it if I wanted to, which was fine because we were like, I honestly, if I tried to do that workout, strict pull-ups with a weight vest, I probably would have been there for 2 hours. I probably even longer. And so it took me, 49:30 or something like that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And it was fun. Like I actually had a lot more fun doing it than I thought. I was pretty nervous going into it, but luckily, obviously, my back held up. Everything was good. And like I said, like it's not really. I honestly, truly, like with what you were saying, I'm not at all mad or feel like I didn't do the workout.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do it with a weight vest on and I partitioned it or anything. Like I feel like I did just as much. And so. Yeah. What about, like, how do you guys feel? Like, how do you feel about how you did it and what you did and all that?
I feel so good. That, like Jean was saying, like, we've been working out every day basically at home, but it's not the same intensity that we're used to. And I was just like, I feel good about, like, sharing the reps. Like, I felt really good. The mile felt fine. And, yeah, pushed it as much as I could, but not overdoing it. So I felt good.
Yeah, and, like, I think, again, like, could I have gone harder? I think I could have, absolutely. Could I have done more? Yeah, I could have. But, like, in the season that we're in, like, just you got to give yourself a lot of grace, and you got to give yourself a lot of, like, you know what? No, I haven't been doing high reps on movements like that. So I feel pretty good about it. I think we were out in the sun, and it was pretty warm, and I got sunburnt, and I think
Yeah, has the sunburnt blues right now.
Yeah, I got a little like lethargic and just kind of grumpy, and I don't know, it was weird. So I like came home and had to take a cold shower, and I kind of passed out on the floor for a little bit. Not literally passed out. I like
He
fell
passed
asleep
out naked in the shower.
Yeah. But like took, what was it, 5 minutes?
He literally was sleeping on the floor for 5 minutes, and then he like jolted up. He's like, whoa, I was asleep, huh? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I feel so much better. I'm like, you were asleep for 5 minutes.
And I got up and I like cleaned the room.
Yeah, and I'm
I was
like, what the heck?
Like made some cold brew. I was just like, wow, that was great.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, I feel good about.
Were you doing strict pull-ups?
Yeah, I did strict.
Why did you do strict?
Well, if I was only doing 10 rounds, I might as well.
Mm-hmm. You didn't tell me that you were doing that, and I noticed it during the workout that you're doing strict, and I thought you were trying to steal my glory. But it's fine.
No, I just was like, I'm only doing 10 rounds. I might as well do strict. There's no point in doing kipping, and I hadn't kipped in 3 months.
Yeah.
Oh, they felt
like,
so good.
Like, why would I? I just didn't even want to mess with that.
Yeah, it was pretty warm today, but I think I got a nice tan in the sun, running in the sun.
I got burnt.
Yeah, it was nice. I wore, so this is, I'm sure barely any people care about this, but I'm going to talk about it anyways. So obviously a lot of people have been like commenting, because like when I work out, like my shorts, I always like pull them up, and you can like see my like, I wear they're like, they're not compression boxers, but they're boxers that are pretty long, so you can like see them in all my workout videos. So people will like leave comments like, why do you even wear your shorts?
I've been wondering that too.
Yeah. Well, it's because like if I didn't, then I'd literally, my wang would just be flopping around.
I'm glad
during
you
the
do.
workout. Yeah. So it's like, I'm not just gonna wear my boxers, like. But I was talking to my girlfriend and stuff, and I ended up like ordering some basically like half tights. I don't even know what to call them. They're like shorts, but
Biker shorts.
I guess like biker shorts, but they're by Virus. And so I wore them for the first time during the workout, and they were really good. I really liked them. And so I'm curious. I have some more coming from Lulu tomorrow, so we'll see how those are. But yeah, they worked well. And yeah, again, I don't think anyone cares, but that was just something that I did. Probably shouldn't have done that during one of the hardest workouts, but whatever. I'm impatient, so when I get a new thing, I want to try it out.
Yeah.
So I did that.
Yeah, you won't see me in this.
I want to see you in them.
I just don't want to be wearing. I don't want to be wearing tights. Only tights. And I got a muffin top, so it's like
I have a fluffing top, dude.
You just pull it all in though. You just literally
tuck
pull
it
it
on.
up. You just pull it all the way up to your what would be your belly button. And then
I pull it up to my belly button. It's a little saggy, but it's fine.
I want to see your booty in those shorts.
No.
Man.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. Work for Change podcast needs to see Jean in some tights.
no, yeah, I mean I'll wear full tights and then shorts.
Yeah.
Well, that defeats the purpose.
That's what I'm saying.
We should make a calendar of Jean in tights.
Yes,
Hey.
please.
So
We'll have one sale. It's from Sam.
no, you guys understand? Like I have principles.
Oh, please.
But if you're willing to pay me,
I will do whatever you
those
want.
principles go way down.
Yeah.
So-
True.
How much do you need?
Like $5. Give me
$5.
give me $5, guys.
He would
and
do a
Just get
lot
it.
of things for $5.
work for change.
just
I'll make
give
a
him
work
some
for change
Chipotle.
calendar.
Yeah.
If you give him a $2.50 Chipotle gift card, he'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
No, because you can't buy anything. Chipotle gift card, and I'll send you a work for change calendar for every month where I'm just in biker shorts.
Oh my God.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
I'm thinking of like when I think of biker shorts, I think of like the chaps that bikers wear that have like the butt cut out. That's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, yeah. That'd be a good one.
That'll be a month.
Okay.
Sexy September.
Oh.
Oh no. Oh, maybe like 6th September for me.
6 September. Hey,
Naughty November.
You might have
Naughty
to
November.
you might have to shave a little before the
I
photo
know that's
shoot.
what I was saying. Yeah. Call it Skid Row September.
Ew, what? This just got too far.
I wish there's no month that starts with hair or H. I was thinking
No.
hairy something. but
Oh, yeah.
No. Forest February.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Muffin top May.
Oh, come on.
You said
That's
it.
a body shaming.
Yeah.
You're the one who said it.
Hashtag body positivity.
Fatty
Fatty February.
Jiggle January.
He's broken. We've lost him.
Muffin Top March.
I already said muffin top May.
Oh, but mine was funnier. Oh. And now I'm just trying to think of all the months.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm excited for Muffin Top May. That's gonna be a good one.
We're in it.
Yeah, we're in it.
maybe a-hole April.
Yeah, I was trying to think of April.
Okay.
Anyway. I was thinking like April. I'm like,
I was thinking April.
yeah, but it's like ape. That's
Yeah.
already the.
It's
Yeah.
like basically the word.
Yeah.
Just twice.
Yeah.
Oh man, we have good times. But there is something that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important. It's kind of weird to transition from that. But it's something that I honestly I feel kind of bad about. And that is like I truly do think that, and this is me, I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I think that the podcast could be better and we have not been putting in the work that it deserves over the past few weeks. What do you guys think about that?
Yes.
we just had a pretty intense conversation
We
about.
legit
It
were
turned
talking
into
for
like a family meeting / work.
we were talking for like an
change.
hour before this podcast.
Yeah, we were talking about how Johnny was not pulling his weight.
It is true.
Yeah.
So this is my last week.
Yeah, we've decided that Jean and Sam are going to continue,
Yeah.
and we're only going to talk about ourselves in the third person.
But there will be a
Sam
calendar.
cannot wait.
There will be a calendar though.
Yeah. With Butthole July.
It doesn't even have to rhyme
Yeah,
anymore.
they don't even rhyme anymore. The calendar is just butthole dress. This is every year.
Okay. Anyway, Work for Change podcast. Future is about to be announced.
Yeah. Well, I mean, tell me what you guys think. I said all that stuff. You guys tell me
Well-
what you think about the past few weeks.
I would say that we were gaining a lot of momentum, a lot of traction, a lot of stuff were happening, and it was exciting, and it was cool, and it was like the new shiny thing. We were all excited about it. We had branding, we had clothing, we had all that stuff. I think after a while, we didn't really relate with our own branding anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also didn't feel like we were kind of just going. We were kind of riding the momentum that we had created before. And I know that personally for me, like I got to a point where I kind of started getting jaded with the process. And like just life happens, I got really busy and
Well,
stuff like
especially
that.
this whole change,
Yeah.
everything that's changed, like especially in the past few months, is when all of this kind of came to a head. I would say.
And so I just have found myself not happy with the podcast. And I'll be totally honest, like I was just not happy with it, and I wasn't happy with what it had turned into. I didn't feel like we had a direction. And so I feel like what was like a river kind of turned into a lake and became super stagnant. And I lost a lot of spark to do the podcast. Like it just kind of became like a thing for me.
I would say like I do want to interject. Like I'd say like you, like Sam said, after we would record each episode, you were like, you liked the product that was coming out.
Like I enjoy the podcast. Like I enjoy I have a heart and a passion to help people go from the situation in which they find themselves stuck in to do work and to find a new situation and work for change. Like I believe in that. I feel like we just lost our momentum,
Well,
I wouldn't
And
even
so-
say really momentum. It was like the spark wasn't there.
Yeah.
I basically
Passion, I guess.
But it was never like I didn't lose the passion for the concept, and I didn't lose the passion for the belief that people could change. I lost the spark for the way in which we were going about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I basically just used this time in our meeting to tell them both what they were doing wrong or not well and what they need to do to fix it.
And it was really weird because she didn't say anything to me. She said, I'm doing fine. It's all on John. So pretty crazy.
Yeah.
No, I mean, how did you feel? What was going on?
I felt really bad because my brother Jean you've been very busy, and so like I felt bad, like the podcast is making you feel more busy, and I was like, man, and it seemed like you were not interested in it anymore, right? Like I felt like every time I'd bring up the podcast, it was like, oh, I have to do this, and so like that I felt bad about that because obviously like you are super busy, I'm less busy as far as like sitting at a computer, you can't leave that spot, right? And so I was like, I don't want you to feel, I want you to be excited about it. And if you're not excited about it, I don't want to force someone to be a part of something that they don't want to be a part of. And like, obviously I was wrong because we had that whole conversation and I was kind of off on that. But like, that's how I felt.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, again, it was just, I kind of, I don't know. I feel like, I don't feel like I was the only person though. Like, I feel like we equally,
Yeah, 100%.
We equally had lost the spark in the process in which we had created.
Yeah.
Like
it was everyone's fault equally. Like
Yeah.
I don't think that I'm not sitting here trying to say you lost motivation to do it, and then I made me lose the motivation to do it. We both were not pulling our weight correctly, and so go away, Sam. You're kicked off. But like we both weren't pulling our weight correctly, and so it ended up being this weird like I didn't want to bring it up to you, you didn't want to bring it up to me, and then we'd push it back, and then we're recording on Monday again. Yeah. Whoopsies.
It's like you each both had thoughts, and that you wouldn't communicate it to each other, so then it just nothing would be said.
Yeah,
guys.
This is a lesson in communication.
If you are thinking about starting a podcast, I recommend not doing it with someone that you live with, work out with, are related to,
are you in quarantine with?
Yeah, because then everything just kind of melts and blends, and nothing is very, nothing became distinct, or nothing became like, this is this time, this is this time. Everything was all time. You know what I mean? Yeah. And everything meshed and everything. And so like we like spent an hour just like literally creating like, what are our boundaries going to be? What are our limits going to be? What is like
the next
one of them was to stop talking about buttholes on the podcast. Exactly. So we had to get it all out in this episode.
Yeah. But like what are some next steps? And then what like, so the difference between like, you know, a lake and a river is that a river has banks. A lake doesn't.
So we're trying to make stacks.
Yeah. So we're investing in some banks. We think it's a good time to invest. No. But what the bank does is it tells the water where it needs to go, and it gives it direction. I feel like we didn't have direction. So we are going to, you know, we've got a meeting planned, scheduled to discuss what the future of the podcast looks like, how we want to do it, but to give it some banks, give it some direction. It's kind of like bumpers on a bowling.
The analogies are here to stay.
The analogies are here. Don't worry, I'm keeping them going.
But so what this means for you guys is
the Work for Change podcast. This is the last episode.
For 2 weeks. So we're going to be taking 2 weeks off, and just so we can focus on, we're not going to bring everything up that we want to work on, because obviously it's kind of boring anyways, but we have some things that we want to do. We have some like, I don't want to oversell it. So we have some changes that we want to make. It's not like it's going to be, we're reinventing the wheel.
It's just revamping.
We want to revamp, and we want to take time to actually just focus on that, instead of feeling like, we have to get a video out, or we have to get a podcast out. And so we want to take this time, these 2 weeks, and we have a couple things that we want to do. Just again, it's to make the podcast better. The one thing that I kind of wanted to say that I want to bring up, because this directly affects you guys. So on YouTube, if you've been on the past couple weeks, obviously we haven't had actual video, and I think for the foreseeable future, we're not going to be filming and recording them. We'll still put them on YouTube, just because we want to focus on like, let's make the audio podcast as good as we can, right? Let's make this as good as we can, and not try and focus on, not be a jack of all trades, you know, try and be a master of the audio podcast first. Just because sometimes we spend so much time filming and getting the video up, and like setting up the video and all this stuff. And like, to be completely honest, there is 10 times as many viewers audio wise. Yeah. And so it's like, I'm not sitting here saying I don't appreciate the people that watch the videos. I do, but
that's the reason why we started with video, even though it didn't make sense, because we didn't even know what we were doing, but we knew that we wanted video to be a part of it. Yeah. Because there's a huge community in the YouTube space, in the video space, and we plan on returning to videos, but our systems don't support that right now, because we're doing everything on our own.
And you don't want to see what we look like right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it was just like that was just another barrier that was causing us to not want to. Yeah. And so it's like, if we can remove as many barriers as possible, get what we want going, moving, then as the train starts rolling, then all right, let's go on. Let's get people on. Let's go. Let's move. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just all in all, I think that's a good idea. Like we tried it for a long time, and again, it's not like saying we're not going to do it, and we're still going to be putting the podcast on YouTube. There just won't be a video there. Yeah. And especially like right now, it's like there's nothing to see here, you know? Yeah. Like
nothing.
And so especially with Sam.
I'm all surprised now.
Yeah, Sam's all
You don't
sprawled
understand.
out.
People do pay to see that.
Well, in that case, maybe I'll have my personal YouTube.
No, we're gonna come out to work for Change Your OnlyFans.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Spoiler alert, it's just my butthole.
yeah. People are gonna start charging us.
Yeah. This podcast is like somehow gonna end up with like an explicit rating.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, that's again, we talked about so much stuff, and I really do think that 2 weeks is enough time. We don't want to be gone for like a whole month. That's just not something I'm interested in. That's a long time, you know? And so 2 weeks.
Think about it. The whole world changed in a month.
Yeah, it's true. So, but yeah, so like, I mean, I'm excited. Obviously, I know that you guys are like, oh man, there's not going to be a podcast for 2 weeks, but I really do think that in the long run, this is best. And I think that when we come back, it will be better. And like, that's the goal, is like, we want to be excited about the podcast. And like, you know, we've made 80 episodes. We've been doing this for over a year and a half now.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, all the ideas I think we're really excited about. And at the beginning of the year, the guys hired a manager, but she quit.
Yeah,
but
she
they
sucked.
hired her back.
Oh,
She said yes. It's me. So the ideas we have going for the next 2 weeks. I'm really excited. And I think you guys should be excited too.
And they're actually going to get implemented because we have someone holding us accountable.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the thing, is we have ideas a lot of times, and then we're like, never mind.
Yeah.
And so like, we're putting it out there. So if we don't, you guys can flame us as much as you want.
Yep.
But like, there's so many things that we want to improve. And again, I'm not trying to get into the weeds, but like, there's so many things that I think could be better, that we have the opportunity to be better.
It's everything could be better.
Yeah, it's literally everything. Literally everything. And so we want that to happen. And I'm excited. Like, that conversation we just had was not fun for me to bring up, but I'm really glad it happened, because it sparked this, you know?
Yeah.
And it means that this is going to be a better podcast for you guys, and then it's going to be better for us because we're going to be more excited about making it, you know? And I think that that's a good thing in the long run, even if it means 2 weeks of no podcast.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Sam said something along the lines of, because she's an outsider but also an insider.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm like the perfect target audience for things.
That's not what I was saying.
Oh, I am.
Can you chill out over there? So full of yourself.
I know, talking about the perfect manager. And,
I know,
Perfect manager,
jeez.
perfect wife.
but she was just, yes,
You can't-
honey.
Yeah, there you go. That's not how you respond to that.
But she was saying that, like, she's like, yeah, what you guys, you say it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like,
What the heck?
what you guys do
I said
is,
a lot.
what you guys do is good, but you kind of seem like you're disorganized and you're throwing it off the cuff kind of thing.
Oh, that I said you guys are sloppy?
Yeah. What do you say? Basically, you were telling
what'd I
us,
say?
like, we're good at just riffing. Like,
Oh,
we
yeah,
can,
okay,
we can
so-
literally press record with no idea what we're going to talk about. And an hour later, we're like,
Okay.
that was good.
This is some inside scoop, okay? This is
We're about to
this is
get-
the tea right
we're about to
here.
get
That's what all the cool
flamed.
kids
I know.
say. A lot of times, Jean, so like Jean, and John with his silent H will literally be like, what do you want to talk about, bro? And then he's like, I don't know, bro. And then they press record, and then I'm like, wow, you guys like actually talked for a really long time, and you had no idea what to talk about.
Yeah.
And like one time their best friend got married, and they didn't know they were going to give a speech, and literally they were like, I don't know, bro, you gonna say speech? And he was like, I don't know, bro, you gonna say speech? And they literally gave really good speeches, like off the cuff. And I'm like, wow, they're really good at that. And I said, that's a good quality, especially if you have a podcast, but you need some organizations behind it. At least a game plan, at least like a outline.
Yeah.
And that is where I come in.
Exactly.
So, I mean, if you are someone that has listened to this whole podcast, you obviously like it, right? Like, especially this one. And so
Yeah, like
we just want to make it. We appreciate you very much, and the reason
Yeah.
we're doing this is to make it better for you, and hopefully make it better for newer people that will come, because it's a better experience.
Yeah.
And again, there's a million things that we're going to do to make that happen. We're not going to bore you with the details, and honestly, I think that kind of ruins it all if we're telling
It'd
you
be a
everything. We're gonna, yeah.
surprise.
So that's what we're going to do. Do you guys have anything else that you want to say?
Nope.
Yeah, we don't want to sit here forever and just kind of ramble about it. It's going to be a little bit shorter of an episode. But yeah, we will see you in 2 weeks,
see you in
Yeah.
2 weeks. Well,
and it's going to
yeah.
be better. And make sure you follow us on social media so you can see some of the cool stuff that we're going to be doing.
Yeah, it's gonna be a
Tell
whole
all your
thing.
friends.
Work for
whole
Change podcast.
At Work for Change
2.0,
Podcast.
At
baby.
Work for Change podcast.
I mean, a lot of podcasts do like they take a break and then they come back season 2 and they take a break.
Yeah.
So this is our final. Like finally, we're taking a break.
Yeah.
Finally.
actually-
Like, it's just crazy how you
to
were saying
think
before
about
we
it.
recorded that you guys have been doing this since 2018.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so much has happened in
Yeah,
that
I know.
time.
Mhm.
Like, so much has happened.
Yeah. And I mean, the most we've ever done is taking a week off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was never planned. It was like, oh,
It was
crap,
like,
we
I
have to
don't
take a
know,
week off.
bro.
Yeah.
You want to take a week off?
Yeah.
All right. We're done getting bullied by Sam. We'll see you
Okay.
guys in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Goodbye.